time to lock in, chat. This is top 10 most overhyped WWE wrestlers of all time. Let's see if they are right or if they're like over exaggerating.
For every John Cena, there are 100 Tyson Tomkos. And if you don't know who Tyson Tomko is, well, that's the point. All the wrestlers you're about to see are men and women who WWE tried to turn into superstars, but failed miserably.
Okay.
Number 10, Gable Steveson. After winning the gold medal in amateur wrestling at the Olympics in 2021, Gable Steveson publicly declared his ambitions to transition into professional wrestling. Fans began to make comparisons with Kurt Angle, who likewise had won a gold medal before becoming a WWE superstar. Gable himself set the bar even higher by declaring his intentions to surpass Kurt Angle's success. Since he's on this list, that clearly didn't happen. In September 2021, Stevenson signed with WWE and was even drafted in the 2021 draft.
Okay.
Despite that, Gable Steveson didn't make his first official appearance as a WWE wrestler until WrestleMania 38, being introduced by Stephanie McMahon.
No, what is that shirt? Chat, hold up.
Official appearance as a WWE wrestler.
Is that like a crochet, like, polo? What is that? It's like a crochet polo. I'm not gonna lie. This is one of those shirts, right? Where if I saw a guy wearing it, it would be like, I would be like, wow, this is like negative Riz, bro. Like, I would genuinely be like, this is negative Riz. I don't like it. Oh.
Wrestler until WrestleMania 38, being introduced by Stephanie McMahon. While that was a huge endorsement, Steveson barely did anything, making only a handful of appearances after WrestleMania. It wasn't until July 2023 that the Olympic gold medalist finally had his first match. Gable's debut opponent was Baron Corbin, and despite Corbin being the bad guy, fans cheered Baron and booed Steveson. The match itself was bad and panned by critics, and behind the scenes, Gable Steveson was struggling with the transition to professional wrestling. Following the bad performance, Steveson disappeared again and was quietly released in May 2024. WWE had high hopes for Gable Steveson, and he came to the company with a lot of momentum. Despite that, he didn't make much of an impact. Now, I do give WWE credit that they knew Gable Steveson wasn't ready and didn't force him to crash and burn in front of fans every week. That, along with Steveson not doing much, is why he's only at number 10. But the wrestlers coming up, unfortunately, didn't have the same grace.
No way, not
Number
Jacob
9,
Fatu.
Tom Magee. While everyone on this list was overhyped, they're at least known for something that they did in WWE. However, Tom Magee is literally known for just being overhyped. In the mid-1980s, powerlifting and strongman Tom Magee decided to give wrestling a try. Not only did he have an amazing physique, he was also trained by the legendary Stu Hart. Magee got put on the map early in his career when Wrestling Observer Newsletter's Dave Meltzer said Magee had the greatest combination of strength and agility the business had ever seen. This caught the attention of WWE, and in October 1986, Magee had a tryout match, defeating Bret Hart. The match wasn't just good, it was great. So great, in fact, that WWE chairman Vince McMahon saw Magee as the successor to Hulk Hogan. However, after being signed, Tom Magee's match performance dropped, and he actually started getting worse and worse. It got to the point that WWE eventually had to give up on Magee, which essentially ended his wrestling career. The ironic part was that the reason Tom Magee seemed like such a big deal was because of his first WWE opponent, Bret Hart. The Hitman was such a phenomenal wrestler that he made Tom Magee look like the real deal. While some people would consider Tom Magee to be the most overhyped wrestler of all time, Tom Magee was almost never seen on WWE TV. In fact, most fans don't even know that there was a wrestler named Tom Magee. For that reason, I put Magee at number 9.
Dude, his name sounds fake as fuck.
In late 2010, Karma, also known as Awesome Khan, signed a contract with WWE, which caught the attention of a lot of fans. Awesome Khan had spent several years in TNA and helped put TNA's women's division on the map. Not only that, but Khan's signing came at the peak of the Divas era, where WWE was literally signing women after seeing them in swimsuit magazines. So, Awesome Khan's strong wrestling ability, as well as her unique look, got a lot of fans excited. Karma made her highly anticipated WWE debut at the 2011 Extreme Rules pay-per-view, where she attacked Michelle McCool. In the following weeks, she targeted almost every woman on the roster. WWE hadn't had a monster female wrestler like this in a while, and their goal was clearly to make Karma a top star in the women's division. In fact, reports surfaced that WWE had plans to have Karma challenge for the Divas Championship at WrestleMania 28. However, real life had other ideas. Only a few weeks after her debut, Karma announced that she was pregnant and needed time off. She returned at the 2012 Royal Rumble, being the third woman to compete in the iconic match. To everyone's surprise though, this would be Karma's final WWE appearance. After not being seen for months after her return, Karma was released in July 2012. Karma's failure in WWE wasn't really anyone's fault. According to Karma herself, the reason she left was because she wasn't physically or mentally ready to return to the ring. Her WWE career is a big what if, because the same year Karma was released, Sasha Banks, Bayley, and Charlotte Flair all got signed. Imagine how different WWE could have looked if Karma hadn't left. Who knows?
Oh, that's really unfortunate. Then, oh, she had a miscarriage too? That's so unfortunate. Oh, this is so sad. WWE is demanding y'all physically be there? Oh no, I bet. Like, you need to constantly be there to, like, you know? You need to constantly be there to, like, to gain, like, audience, like, retention. Like, I honestly, I think that's one of the most unfortunate things about, like, women's wrestling. It's like, if you're not big enough, right, and you have to take time off because of, like, pregnancy or whatever, it's big. It's pretty big. I mean, you remember when Becky left for, like, because she was pregnant? And she came back with no problems because everyone knew her. Like, you know, she was the man. But I think you were just starting out and you're pregnant, like, really shortly after, before you've had time to, like, make a splash, you know? It's, like, really unfortunate. Naomi too. Yeah. Are you a wrestling fan? I'm a big wrestling fan. Also, Carpe Diem, thank you for the follow. Thank you. I think it's just a matter of, like, the timing being incredibly unfortunate.
If she had connected with the fans, the Divas Revolution may have started a lot sooner. So far, most of the wrestlers we've looked at were seen very little on TV. However, now we're getting into the real train wrecks. Number 7, Ultimo Dragon. During the 90s, Ultimo Dragon was considered one of the best and most successful cruiserweights in wrestling. He even famously held 10 championships at the same time. Because of this and the success Rey Mysterio had, WWE was eager to sign the masked Japanese wrestler. Ultimo Dragon was excited too, as 2 of his goals were to wrestle inside Madison Square Garden and compete at WrestleMania. However, this is a prime example of be careful what you wish for. A series of promo videos would play on SmackDown, hyping up Ultimo Dragon's upcoming WWE debut. The Dragon accomplished his first goal when he debuted on SmackDown in June of 2003 by wrestling at Madison Square Garden. That alone shows you just how much WWE want Ultimo Dragon to succeed. WWE considers MSG their home court. I mean, there's a reason why they tried to prevent Ring of Honor and New Japan from hosting a show in the Garden in 2018. Ultimo Dragon won his debut match, but then WWE got weird. In Dragon's second WWE match, he lost to Eddie Guerrero in the United States Championship Tournament. Guerrero is a respectable wrestler to lose to, but Ultimo Dragon lost in the first round of the tournament. If Ultimo wasn't going to win the tournament, at least have him lose in the finals or something. Anyways, things only got worse as Ultimo Dragon would mainly appear on WWE's third-tier show, Velocity. It appeared that WWE was hoping for Dragon to be another high-flying, fast-paced wrestler like Rey Mysterio. However, Dragon suffered an arm injury in 1998 that required surgery. Due to a botched procedure, Dragon suffered nerve damage, and while Ultimo did recover, he wasn't the same after it. WWE seemed to quickly realize this, which I guess is why they lost interest in the Japanese star so soon after his debut. However, the nail in the Dragon coffin happened at WrestleMania 20. In March 2004, Ultimo Dragon finally achieved his goal of competing at WrestleMania, which ironically was held in Madison Square Garden. However, during his entrance, Dragon slipped on the stage, and to make things worse, he also slipped while trying to climb the ropes. I can't think of a better analogy for Ultimo Dragon's WWE career than this. About a month after WrestleMania, Ultimo Dragon left WWE after discovering the company wanted to unmask him. While Ultimo Dragon's WWE run was no doubt a flop, the company realized pretty early he wasn't what they wanted and course corrected pretty fast. Still, the amount of hype WWE put into Ultimo Dragon's arrival and the hopes they had for him earns him a spot on this list. Number 6, Dr. Death, Steve Williams. Every wrestler on this list got humiliated and humbled to some degree, but I would argue that Dr. Death got the most embarrassment. After wrestling for about 15 years and becoming an icon in Japan, WWE signed Steve Williams in May 1998. In addition to all that, what made Dr. Death stand out was that he was one of the legit toughest wrestlers in the business at the time. Jim Ross, one of the head WWE officials backstage, was a major advocate for Steve Williams, constantly bringing up how Williams was the real deal. Because of all this, WWE had plans for Steve Williams to feud with the WWE champion Stone Cold Steve Austin. At the same time, the infamous Brawl for All tournament was set up. This saw WWE wrestlers actually fight for real, and since he was considered a legit tough guy, WWE encouraged Williams to participate in the tournament. WWE officials expected Steve Williams to win, which would give him even more legitimacy. In fact, some say the Brawl for All was set up specifically to turn Steve Williams into a star. However, in a shocking upset, Steve Williams was knocked out by Bart Gunn done in the second round. Making matters worse is during the fight, Dr. Death tore his quad, which put him on the sidelines for several months. While he did return in early 1999, Steve Williams didn't do much of note. After being hyped up as this real tough guy, but seeing him get knocked out on live TV destroyed Steve Williams' career. According to Williams, his storyline feud with Stone Cold was given to Triple H, which gives you an idea of what WWE originally had planned for Dr. Death. Steve Williams is a big what if, but when you look at guys like Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle, it's not hard to believe that Steve Williams could have been a big deal. While Dr. D's WWE career was short, the fact that it all blew up so quickly and in such an embarrassing way is why he gets number 6. Number 5, Ryback. This might be a little controversial. After all, Ryback was pushed as a main eventer for roughly a year, but hear me out. The big guy debuted in 2010 under the name Skip Sheffield. His first run in WWE was short-lived, as an ankle injury took him out of action for almost 2 years.
Okay, Skip Sheffield is a terrible name.
Repackaged as Ryback. The Human Wrecking Ball went on an undefeated streak, defeating wrestlers in quick and dominant fashion. He was very much a modern version of Goldberg, and the fans seem to agree.
Dog, he's built like a brick shit house. God.
Not long after making his comeback, Ryback challenged the WWE champion, CM Punk. While he didn't win the title, it seemed like WWE was ready to make Ryback one of their new top stars. However, things changed in 2013. Almost exactly 1 year after returning, Ryback turned heel by attacking the WWE champion, John Cena. After 2 unsuccessful title matches, Ryback would eventually become a Paul Heyman guy.
I'm not gonna lie, in that shot, it genuinely looked like Paul Heyman and him were about to make out, and I got scared for a second. I genuinely got scared for a second. It looked like they were gonna fucking make out, dude. Oh, brother. Why? What is Paul Heyman and, like, almost making out with, like, all these, like, strong men? That's insane.
Hi besties, it's me, Miwa, and if you're enjoying today's video, please consider subscribing, okay? Like, please, 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 times 1 billion. I'm like, really asking this of you, ne?
I mean, I'm happy for them, I guess.
For whatever reason, Heyman's rub didn't do much for the big guy. Ryback had a few bigger feuds, but ended up settling for a tag team with Curtis Axel. That ultimately didn't go anywhere, and Ryback was back on his own. He eventually turned face again, and even won the Intercontinental Championship. It honestly could just be me.
Oh, he was known for being unsafe?
Title reign. I honestly thought Ryback held the belt for about a month, but it was actually 112 days. The last major rivalry the big guy had was with Kalisto over the United States Championship in 2016. After 2 failed title matches, Ryback was released from WWE, and the company has acted like he never worked for them. The reason Ryback makes the list of overhyped wrestlers is how far his stock in the company fell. In his first year, Ryback was feuding with CM Punk and John Cena over the WWE Championship. 4 years later, he was wrestling against Kalisto for the United States title on pay-per-view pre-shows. I don't mean this as any disrespect
the
for
pre-show
Kalisto,
is an
but
L.
this is WWE, the place that loves big, muscly men. Not only that, but they had Kalisto beat Ryback. Now, the downfall of Ryback's career may have had to do with things backstage, like the big guy reportedly being unsafe to work with in the ring. Regardless, the amount of hype and momentum Ryback had at the beginning of his run and how it petered out is why the Human Wrecking Ball earns a spot in this video. Number 4,
John Cena and WWE destroyed him because he was terrible backstage, caused so many botches. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. I get it now. In his final match, he did save Kalisto from a very serious botch. Bro, I feel like wrestling is one of those things where, like, you really have to do it super carefully. If not, it's fucking scary.
Hideo Itami. This is how timing can work against a wrestler.
Oh,
By
shit.
2014, Hideo Itami, or Kenta, was one of the biggest stars in Japanese wrestling. He had spent almost a decade and a half in the business and caught the attention of WWE. So, in mid-2014, Hideo Itami signed with the company during a WWE live event in Japan.
Kenta.
Unless you were following along at this time, it's hard to explain how big of a deal this was. Things started out strong, with WWE presenting Itami as NXT's next big superstar. Especially at this time, there's not really be any other wrestler who first joined NXT and got the kind of treatment Hideo Itami received right out of the gate. However, Itami immediately faced some challenges. For one, he couldn't use a number of his signature moves, including the GTS, due to CM Punk's association with the move. The ironic part is that Hideo Itami actually invented the GTS. Another challenge was the roster. Months after Itami's debut, Finn Balor and Kevin Owens also joined NXT, making it harder for Itami to stand out. However, the real blow to Hideo Itami's WWE career came in May 2015. Itami suffered a shoulder injury and was out of action for the rest of the year. Due to complications, the Japanese star wouldn't return until June 2016. By then, though, the NXT roster had become even more stacked, and Hideo was lost in the shuffle. He was then moved to 205 Live, which was a death sentence due to the show's much smaller audience. After roughly 4.5 years in WWE, Hideo Itami requested his release, and WWE officially announced his departure in February 2019. Itami himself would later go on to say that being in WWE was the most frustrating days of his life. There was a lot working against Hideo Itami, as mentioned, but another factor was Itami's struggle to learn and understand English. Additionally, Shinsuke Nakamura's arrival may have unintentionally hurt Itami, since Shinsuke was also a very popular Japanese wrestler brought into WWE. Number 3, Vladimir Kozlov.
Shinsuke's like being wasted right now. I'm sad. He's jobbing so hard. Man.
Before WWE, the Moscow Mauler was an accomplished sambo and grappling champion. This put him on WWE's radar, and they signed him in early 2006. You would think WWE would want to portray Kozlov as the serious, tough brute, but his first appearance on TV made him kind of laughable.
What? Why?
WWE. I love WWE. I love WWE!
Me too, brother!
Yeah, imagine not being able to say WWE correctly. Despite these early appearances,
Double
it
E, my
until over
god.
a year later that Kozlov would finally make his debut. Like many monster heels, Kozlov spent the first few months racking up wins and squashing opponents. However, he soon demanded better competition, which led to him becoming a contender for the WWE Championship. While he didn't win the title, Kozlov was considered a legit threat, even defeating Jeff Hardy clean on SmackDown. However, Vladimir got a win arguably bigger than winning any world title. On SmackDown, just weeks before WrestleMania 25, the Moscow Mauler went up against The Undertaker. In one of the biggest upsets in WWE history, Vladimir Kozlov defeated The Undertaker clean. For those who don't know, it's hard to explain just how big of a deal that accomplishment is. In fact, backstage, Vince McMahon actually wanted Kozlov to end The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. Once again, that's arguably a bigger accomplishment than winning any championship. However, in a very odd decision, not long after beating the Dead Man, Kozlov's push would be stopped cold. During the 2009 WWE draft, the Moscow Baller was sent to ECW. Like with Hideo Itami, Kozlov going to ECW was a big demotion. Kozlov was still dominant in the land of Extreme, but
wait, I just gotta say, guys, I hate his fucking gear. I hate his gear. Bro looks like he's just got his tidy whities out and nothing else. I genuinely do not like this. The X-Slayer, thanks for the follow. Thank you. Welcome to the basement. Welcome. He's wearing underwear and nothing else. Like,
WWE had clearly given up on the Moscow Mauler. In fact, Vladimir
this is so much better
when he became a comedic character with Santino Marella. The main reasons why Kozlov didn't work out though were 1, he wasn't that great in the ring. Not awful, but nothing special. 2 was his look. It wasn't bad, but the plain white trunks made it look like he was in his underwear.
Yeah,
additionally, look at how much better Kozlov looks after he left WWE than when he was in the company. However, I think the biggest reason for Vladimir Kozlov's failure was not connecting with the crowd and not getting much of a reaction. WWE and Vince McMahon really wanted and tried to make Kozlov work, but despite all that, the Moscow Mauler never made it and has become an obscure part of WWE history. Number 2, Sin Cara. The story of Sin Cara is similar to
Sin Cara's crazy,
Dragon, but on steroids.
No, this part's crazy.
You'll see what I mean. After Ultimo Dragon crashed and burned, WWE was content with Rey Mysterio being their one and only masked star. However, as the years went on and Rey kept injuring his darn knee, it was clear that the company needed to start building their next big masked superstar. To find their next Rey Mysterio, WWE decided to go to the country famous for masked wrestlers, Mexico, and signed one of the biggest masked luchadors at the time, Mystico. The company went all out too, holding a press conference to introduce fans to Mystico's new persona, Sin Cara.
Wait, no joke though, I actually did watch, like, at the CML event that I went to, Mystico did, like, wrestle there, and it was It was pretty goated. It was actually pretty good. It was against what was his name? That one wrestler, the Japanese guy in the purple. He has like a bandana around his mouth. I don't remember what his name was, but that was really cool. Like it was a genuinely sick match. What was his name? K something, I think. I don't remember. Doki! You're right, it was Doki! The Mystical versus like Doki match was pretty fucking good. It was actually really sick.
He had a great look, a cool mask, and given that he was one of the best Mexican wrestlers, it seemed like Sin Cara was destined for success. The Faceless One debuted the night after WrestleMania 27, and crowds began to form almost instantly, when Sin Cara had trouble getting over the top rope. Unfortunately, this wasn't just a one-off problem. Match after match after match, it seemed like Sin Cara would always botch and have trouble moving around the ring. WWE quickly moved Sin Cara from Raw to SmackDown, since the Boo brand didn't broadcast its shows live at the time. However, even with the help of editing, Sin Cara's blunders still showed through. Things were made even worse when Sin Cara violated WWE's wellness policy and was suspended for 30 days. This led to what I think was actually a pretty cool storyline, the Imposter Sin Cara storyline. While it was enjoyable, it didn't turn Sin Cara into a superstar, and unfortunately, in November of 2011, Sin Cara got injured and was out for over 6 months. By the time Sin Cara returned, WWE hadn't totally given up on him, but they realized he wasn't the star they had hoped for. Sin Cara toyed around in WWE for a while until he famously called off a match after dislocating his finger. Backstage, Sin Cara didn't speak English, making it harder for him to communicate and structure matches with his opponents. Additionally, he blamed WWE for not allowing him to wrestle the style he did in Mexico. WWE didn't completely give up on the Sin Cara character though. Hunico, another Mexican wrestler, was given the mask and became the new Sin Cara. Even still, the momentum Sin Cara had in 2011 was gone, and it never came back. The ironic part in all this is that while Sin Cara is long gone, Rey Mysterio, the wrestler Sin Cara was meant to succeed, returned to WWE and has outlasted the Faceless One. And the number one most overhyped WWE wrestler is Lex Luger. You remember Tom McGee how WWE wanted him to be the next Hulk Hogan, right? Well, this is what likely would have happened had WWE pulled the trigger. When Luger joined WWE in 1993, he already had about 8 years of wrestling under his belt, most notably his time in WCW. Originally, Luger was a heel, a bad guy named the Narcissist. However, this character didn't last long. In mid-1993, Hulk Hogan left WWE. Vince McMahon wanted to recreate the success of Hulkamania, and probably wanted to prove that it was him who made Hulk Hogan. Regardless, Lex Luger did a complete 180. Instead of a narcissistic villain, Luger became the all-American hero. Now, Luger as the Hulk Hogan replacement does kind of make sense. In the mid-80s, people often compared Hogan and Luger. In fact,
I mean, they've got a similar vibe
and a more defined physique. If anyone was the right candidate to replace Hulk Hogan, it was Lex Luger.
Did he just say Lex Luger had more hair? Versus like Hulk Hogan's balding head? Oh. You're right, he's not wrong, I guess. But shit, dude, goddamn. The hair is important? Is it that big of a deal? Would you cheer for... No, I get it. Honestly, I get it. The bandana is what really saved Hulk Hogan for me. They're going for the hairline? They really went for the fucking hairline, dude. Holy shit.
However, a whole lot of things didn't go right. First, there wasn't much time for Luger to adopt the American hero gimmick. He went from being a selfish jerk to trying to represent something bigger than himself within a few weeks. It was just confusing and didn't seem natural. Additionally, Lex Luger wasn't the best on the microphone. While Hulk Hogan wasn't Shakespeare, he was charismatic and very rarely stumbled over his words. Lex, not so much.
For those of you who voted for the winner, you know, every day I strive to be worthy of your support.
To WWE's credit, they went above and beyond to try and make Lex Luger a superstar. Unlike everyone else we've talked about, WWE poured millions of dollars into the Lex Express. It was a bus that Luger drove around the United States, where he met with fans to help build support for his WWE Championship match at SummerSlam. Despite this huge investment, WWE and Vince McMahon could see the writing on the wall. While Lex did win his championship match against Yokozuna, he did so via countout and didn't win the title. It made Lex Luger's huge celebration at the end look weird and made Lex himself look kind of like a dork. WWE didn't completely
Man.
drop the ball with Lex Luger after SummerSlam 93, but they might as well have. Ironically, it was the Canadian, not the American wrestler, who'd become the next big face for WWE. However, the biggest reason for Lex Luger's failure was that he was trying to be Hulk Hogan. By 1993, Hulk Hogan had been the star of not just WWE, but
Okay.
of wrestling for almost
Wait.
10 years. Fans were getting tired of the Hulkster, and if they had to put up with more Hulk Hogan, they certainly didn't want the knockoff version. You
Can I be real? Now that I'm like really watching this, right? Like I'm like really watching this, right? Hulk Hogan hasn't aged. And I don't mean it in a good way. I mean, has this man always looked like he he always looked like he's in his mid-40s since like forever? Like genuinely, I like watching like old footage of him, I can still recognize him as like, you know, like, I don't know if he's like, Master Ness, he's dead. He's, he doesn't look like that anymore, that's for sure. He's like dead, but he looks like he's in his mid-40s, bro. It's insane. The steroids will do that to you. It's crazy. Like, I don't know how this man hasn't aged. He just looks the exact same. He was born with unk status in his genes. Roy to being a union buster. I think it's all of the evil in his heart. That's why he looks old. It's because he's evil and on steroids. So chat, the secret to being young is to not be fucking evil, dude. Jesus fucking Christ. Or be evil and you're forever 40. Yeah. So chat, if you don't want to look like you're 40 in your 20s or your 30s, don't be evil. You just kind of hit like the end of it. Unfortunately, please don't be evil until you're over 40, I guess.
You could argue that if WWE had gone all the way and had Lex win the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, Lex may have had a shot. However,
Macho Man
I think
right
it would have
there,
just
bro.
made fans more upset and disconnected with Luger, and may have even hurt the WWE title too. Honestly, after SummerSlam, WWE should have had Lex Luger turn heel again. That would have at least had a chance to succeed. Unless WWE did Lex's heel turn like how they did Eugene's. Speaking of which, to see the top 10 worst WWE heel turns, watch the video on screen.
I think we might have to. I think we might have to, chat. This is not how I expected to find out, dang. Wait, you actually... Oh, this is how you're finding out that, like, Hulk Hogan's dead? Bro, this is like when... This is like that moment where, like, who was it? John Cena announced that, what's his name was killed, right? Live on air? It wasn't live, it was after pay-per-view? Oh! Man. Can I be real? Announcing these type of things during like a wrestling match is so goofy to me, man. Like announcing that kind of stuff during a wrestling match is so goofy to me. I mean, I get it, people are watching, but also it's like in the middle of like my favorite show, two oiled up like big fucking men fighting each other. By the way, he's dead.